The bus came. We had no idea what was going to happen, but she marched up on those steps. And I remember with the tinted bus windows, she looked out and was waving. Carly and I cried the whole way home. And I remember that feeling as a parent. We are sending the school our very best, and we want the school to give her and to give us their very best. So that's what I think about as a principal. Families are sending us their best every day, and I want to give them my best, and I want to create an environment where the staff can be at their best for the kids as well.
Yeah, I'm a parent.
So this is also something when I heard for the first time, I'm also trying to share it as much as possible with teachers that are coming here on a weekly basis, because do you need any motivation bigger than this one in order to at least give your best and to try to make environment the best as possible, to give your teacher, whoever you are, special needs teacher, educator, principal, even if you're just taking care of the school itself, we are working for the greater good. We're shaping future generations. And while students are a lower percent of our population now, they're in 100% of our future. So it's not only, I like to put it individually. I like to put it in the same way that if I get to interact somehow or impact one child or one person, one adult, doesn't matter. It will be also a chain reaction, and I will reach so many people. Sometimes you won't even have your thank yous or maybe opportunity to be a guest like this or anything like that, but just try to think about it yourself. What greater good can you bring and how you change someone's life? Some of the experiences I told you, and especially some of the experiences that I remember that I don't have time sharing with you today, it's something that certainly changed my future and the way where I was going and how I was conducting and doing those things. And I never get to say thanks to some of those teachers, adults, educators, maybe even random people that I met on the street that helped me during the way. So it's part of the process, and I really like how he put it into words.
Too, and I know our children can act differently. When they're around crowds, they can be intimidated than they do at home, and we see their best at home. But we do worry what happens within the walls of these schools. We want them to be noticed and felt loved. So I know you're getting a lot of messages from former students or your students' parents. What are people saying? Because many of them have been just very heartfelt.
Yeah, and I think, so the video has 378 million views, 22.5 million likes, but I have found it is so much more than that. And it's those private messages that I'm receiving. People reach out and they can name a specific teacher, a specific person in their life, and that one moment that had a significant impact on their life. But I also hear from people who have heartbreaking stories. They'll say, that's all I needed. I just needed to be seen. I just needed that moment, and my whole life could have been different.
Yeah. Do you think it's changing the culture? I come from a family of teachers, and I know it's a very challenging job. Not only all the paperwork you have to do at home and all the meetings you have to go to on your time off, but then to also try to help raise, 24 kids all at one time. It's very challenging. Has it changed the culture? And what's your message to teachers and principals that are struggling?
Yeah, my message is it's all about people. The work that we do in education, the work that we do in life is all about people. And I think about aligning ourselves with our Heavenly Father and then spreading it horizontally, just pouring in compassion and comfort and empathy into the people around us. And I know as a principal, as I said, my job is to make sure staff are at their best. And we have a phenomenal staff at Providence Elementary. Last year, our school counselor met with every single kid at the end of the year, 400 kids. Each and every single kid said they have at least one adult that they feel connected with at school. And that's what it's all about. Reading and math, that's important. But that connection piece is first.
Yeah, I'm sure all the teachers watching, they wish that they had principals like you, because, the industry has changed so much because they don't get paid a lot. And so a lot of people are choosing other professions, and there's a lot of burnout in the schools. So I love this. And I love that you incorporate your faith. In all the videos I watched yesterday, you're talking about your family, your wife, and your faith. Why is that so important?
Oh, it's just, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Jesus is the light of the world, and I'm just here to illuminate his light. And I fall short each and every day. But just giving something as small as a fist bump, it's not just fun and it's not just celebrations, but life is hard. Life is difficult. We go through a lot of difficult things, but a fist bump means I see you. It means I notice you. It means I'm here for you. If I have a tough conversation with a kid in the office, when they leave, I give them a fist bump. I'm still in your corner. It doesn't change how I feel about you. And God does the same thing for us. So what can I do but just pour it into others?
Yeah, a lot of people are scared of their principals. They're not scared of you, and I love it. Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to share this with you, and I wanted to emphasize especially on this, which is greeting. And part of the reason for that is because I don't know who is watching us at the moment. We have what, more than 80 people, and I told you about our focus group and who are we trying to reach. But at the end of the day, maybe we have also some other workers from education or not. And this is something that everyone can do. So we are all part of the system. We are all part of this change, and we can bring this to our schools and society only if we work all together, and only if we are aware why we are doing it in the first place. So arrival, just a simple thing as a fist bump or a high five or hello, it can mean a world, and it can change a lot. So this is one of the things that maybe it seems small, but indeed it can be very big. And for example, I'm staying on the same example, and in that school that I just showed you the principal, and they committed a survey by the end of the school with the students, and each and every student, so 100% of them confirmed that they have at least one adult at the school that they can trust with their problems. And I think this is very important to achieve. I am equally aware that we are all facing with difficulties, with problems, with financials, with lack of stuff. And I don't know what happened to you today or what will happen tomorrow, but it's important to be also goal-oriented and to keep this in mind why we are doing this in the first place. Play, provide parallel and cooperative play options. So not every play is equally good for everyone. Not everyone equally enjoys doing it or playing it, so it's important to have diverse classroom as well. Create a buddy system so peers can invite others into play and offer materials that they can adapt for different abilities, such as blocks with easy grip pieces or art supplies with varied textures. Circle time, use multisensory strategies. So it's all about providing different opportunities. If, for example, I myself, I'm also guided a little bit by competition. When I say competition, I don't mean what we have, unfortunately, in some of the systems still, which is comparing students. This one is better than this one because of the grades, because of adaptation and all the other things. I'm talking about competition in terms of quizzes, sports, competing through the knowledge or abilities or something like that. It is also completely fine to have a different approach. Teamwork is also something which is very important. We can include sports, we can include activities. We can include also traditional classroom. In most of my courses that I have, I'm talking about all the other ways and alternatives because traditional classroom is still dominating. Unfortunately, I would say, but why unfortunately? Because we also need all the other things. We can talk about outdoor education, we can about implementation of technology, non-formal education, informal education, etc., and those are all equally important and should be a part of inclusive system because it provides a different opportunities for everyone. But that doesn't mean that we should exclude completely traditional classroom and that it shouldn't exist. No, we should adapt it and to make it different and to make it better for everyone's good. Transition. Give time warnings with timers or countdown cards. Use movement cues like hopping or tiptoeing into the next activity. Assign transitions helpers to give children a role and a purpose. So this is a small thing which, especially if we're talking about children with special needs, it will help them a lot to be prepared for what is coming up next. It will give them some sort of like a routine or rhythm inside of their mind before conducting it. Intentional playing turns everyday routines into a powerful, inclusive learning moments where every child can participate, contribute, and connect equally and all together. Environmental design for inclusion. So it is also very important where we are working. I'm not saying here that despite of some challenges, we cannot make school inclusive even if we don't have enough funds. I am going to talk about material. I am going to talk about rooms. And this is something with which we can impact a lot and we can add up a lot, but it's not the whole thing. As he stated also before, it's all about people. It's all about people who are working there, who are spending time with children, and who are thinking also about all the things and activities that they will prepare for them. And all the times, despite of the funds, despite of the possibilities, it is possible to make inclusive classroom and inclusive school. It is based more on education and being prepared than on funds. Of course, I'm not saying that they are irrelevant, and you can also work it over. There are multiple ways. I was also volunteering a little bit for one NGO in Belgrade, and we were helping schools to gain funds in order for many different reasons and what they were trying to achieve. And you can talk to private companies. They have part of their budget dedicated for this, and it's getting easier than maybe I expected. So I'm trying just to share a couple of possibilities. Of course, you always have other sources by asking through municipality, government, and etc. etc. I know all the difficulties, but yeah, it's not the end of the world if you don't have it. That's what I'm trying to say. Visual structure. Use daily schedules with pictures and words, clearly labeled areas, and visual cues for routines. The layout should guide independence and self-regulation. For example, a cozy corner with a soft setting and calm visuals can help a child regroup, while alternative seating, like a wobble cushion or a floor mat, or during the cycle time, they can make participation easier for them. If they have this visual structure, it can be conducted by other stuff that aren't too expensive or difficult to find for your classroom. Physical access, something which is very important. I'm not going to waste too much time about this. Classrooms, schools, and everything, it should be equally accessible for everyone. So depending, of course, on your needs, you have to know which disabilities, which special needs do you have, and if in case something is not urgent at this moment, or if you don't have kids with maybe physical disabilities, this is something to still have in mind, but maybe think about those children that you actually have, and step by step, you also make school in the future more and more accessible. Material variety. Offer tools and toys in different sizes, shapes, and textures to match diverse fine motor abilities. This might include scissors with adaptive handles, chunky crayons, seasonally friendly toys, or materials that they can use in multiple ways. In our courses, we're often talking about the Montessori system and help me do it myself and all the other things. So in order to sometimes put that into practice, you need to have certain things which will help you with that. It was proven that to be quite successful, and all the things that I'm going to talk about today, those are the tips, and they for sure will work in some of the cases. But the main idea is to find your own recipe and not to use the cookie cutter shape for everyone, for all the children, because as individuals, we are all different. And also, one of the quotes, it was by Albert Einstein, who said that we should not judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. And that's why it's important to distinguish a fish from a monkey and to not provide them with the same environment and same expectations and everything. Every two brains are different, and no two children are the same. No matter if we're talking about special needs or not, we don't luckily have the same talents. We do not have the same things that are pushing us forward. We are not equal intellectual. That doesn't mean that everyone doesn't have its own brightness, its own light, and that it's bringing a lot of prosperity to this world in their own way. And finally, noise and light sensitivity. Use soft indicated lighting instead of harsh overheads, and consider adjustable blinds to control sunlight. Provide quiet corners or noise reduction tools like headphones for children sensitive to sound, and avoid unnecessary background noises that can overwhelm. By the way, here in Spain, I recently saw on one concert, they were also bringing the small children to enjoy being there, enjoy the energy, enjoy the participation, and they had those headphones on their heads. So, of course, it was important for them not to be too afraid of the loud noises and etc. and etc. Just a moment. Okay. What do inclusive teachers do differently? Inclusive teachers are flexible, proactive, and responsive. So they should be there for their children. Of course, your mood can change. You don't know what happened to you before the classroom or while coming to the classroom, but while you're there, you should try to be able to respond to all the children, so whatever their needs are at the moment, not to fulfill them, but to be there to hear them out and to see them and to make them feel important and part of the group. Of course, that doesn't mean that you have to do everything that they're asking to. That would be completely ridiculous. But I'm just trying to say that they should all feel noticed. They notice barriers and act to remove them. They know that fairness doesn't mean giving every child the same thing. It means giving each child what they need in order to succeed. And if they see those barriers, and if they see that we are not maybe interested in them. Empathy, it's a very important thing when we're talking about those things, and compassion, being able to understand how important you as an adult are for them. Try to also do a very simple activity. Remember your childhood and how you were looking at adults back then, and how important was every critiques, every movement, every praise, everything that they did together with you, and etc. and etc. So this is just something that will help you keep up. I will give example of Sophia's story. Sophia is a quiet, observant child who avoids joining group time. Instead of forcing her to sit in a circle, her teachers places a small cushion nearby and invites her to hold the story puppet when she feels ready. After a few days, Sophia begins to join a short moments. This is inclusion, and it makes space for a child to participate in their own way. Especially these puppets or soft toys or anything that you can hold, if we're talking about people with special needs, and bring them a lot of peace, bring them a lot of good feelings within. And I'm not talking only about children with special needs. This also helps a lot with anxiety, with depression, which is much more difficult to handle. And of course, it is important to have professionals involved, but it is definitely a helpful tip. And I met many adults which don't even have any of the listed things, but it still make them feel calm. First, individually, how inclusive it is at the moment. What small changes can it make it easier for every child to feel involved? So if it's about arrival or fist bumps, or if it's about snack, how we can make it with maybe just a small changes. It's about brainstorming and thinking about different ideas. And luckily we have international environment, so it will be also a way to see how this work is being done in different environments in different countries. Write down your ideas, first of all, for yourself, and then share it together with the group. In the group, you can also discuss about it, think about all the differences that it can make. Think about your classroom and share one best practice or activity or a game that you are already doing. You can also do it within the group. And I would specifically ask you to scan this QR code that you can see on the screen or click on the link that I will share in the chat in Google Meets and describe your best practice by filling it in this form about to have. So I'm going to create the breakout rooms and see you in 10 minutes. I will be around also if you need some help, okay? Breakout rooms are completely random and you're going to have in average around 10 people within a room. Okay, guys, nice to have you all back. I hope everything went fine. I heard from a couple of you guys that you haven't got the link or that you weren't able to open the QR code that is on the screen. Just in case, I already shared once the link with you, but I will do it once again. Just to give me a second. So in the messages, you will be able to find the link. What I would just simply ask you to do, so based on the results, based on what you did, you can fulfill this Google form and put it there. Doesn't matter if you did it in groups, then only once, of course, is enough. If you had some individual ideas, I would ask you to please do it individually as well. If everything is okay, if you don't have any questions about this, of course, all the results and dissemination, and not even this training course, but all the others, you will be able to see on our website, and we are going to share the results as well. So nothing that you are seeing here right now is just once. You will be able also to come back and to maybe regain some of the ideas, motivation, and etc. and etc. So here's the QR code. It's still there. Hopefully it's working. If not, you have the link in the chat, and you can do it now or you can do it later. Thanks a lot. Okay, we can move on. The topic of our talk in the next couple of minutes is going to be UDL in preschool, practical implementation. Of course, UDL, it's an acronym. It stands from Universal Design for Learning Framework. We are going to guide us it is going to guide us in creating truly inclusive preschool environments where every child is supported from the start. So from the beginning, this is how we should do it also step by step. UDL, and I'm going to call it from now on like that, Universal Design for Learning Framework once again, but UDL, invites us to move beyond one-size-fits-all teaching. I already spoke about it just before the break. And I feel like this is something which is very important. We still do have some subjects that are perceived as more important than the others, while in fact, I do not believe that this is the case in real life. We have the things that we're good at. We all have different talents. We all have realized that in my life, but finally I'm there. And I think this is a world, and we forget about what we have now. They said the plan that maths is not more important than unfortunately just perceived like that. And I remember in our school when I was young on those classes like music as non-important, even though they're equally important as all the others. We were using the time to study for the others, which were perceived as more important. And it is a problem it's getting better. I really see the difference, but we're still not there. And I think that's why it's really important to raise the voice about this issue as well. And I believe that my parents raised me very well. I'm very happy to have them as a parents. But what was also happening in my case, if I would go back home and say, "Hey, mom and dad, I got an A from physical education or music," they would be like, "Oh, okay, well done. Great job." Like, but if I would go and say the same thing about history and maths or something like that, they would, "Oh, well done. You studied a lot. You did this, you did that. Maybe even a reward or something like that." So it's not just a thing of what we do in school, but it's a thing of the society. Also, when it comes to works, I was recently talking about how it is important to have everyone included working for the greater good and working and being able to implement this what we're talking about. Even if you're cleaning the school, you're able to participate, you're able to greet them, to make them feel present, to make them feel valued, to greet them, to have a small talk with children or anything like that. So even if you're not working at school, you can be a part of all this. That is the point. And of course, when we're talking about this one size fits all teaching, it's also that it's important to understand that not all the children have the same backgrounds. They don't have same intellectual abilities. And I don't like using that word a lot because people often misunderstand IQ with intelligence. There are many ways of how one can be intelligent, and IQ is just one of those divisions. So you can also have social intelligence. There are like plenty of them, so I wouldn't easily use that word. But we are all different, and our brains are working differently. And maybe for me, it's easier to understand something if you show me, while for a colleague of mine, it is easier if you explain. And also, it's about, we're living in this modern age which we are overwhelmed with information, and I'm as guilty as charged. I'm also overusing especially some of the AI tools like ChatGPT recently, and I'm also using it to get a short answers, or maybe even in some cases ideas. I don't like when I use it for that. And of course, it's a tool. It can be used for good, it can be used for a bad. I'm definitely not talking about it. As a matter of the fact, I'm also teaching about it, and I do believe that it is important to know how to use it and to implement it and to make it part of our lives. We cannot run away for it. But there are different ways of receiving an information, and not every information has the same quality. So for example, if I simply ask ChatGPT, "Hey, what was the year when this and this happened?" I will get the answer. Maybe I will be very satisfied with it. I will remember it, but what happens in a matter of 15 minutes, 1 hour, tomorrow, or in a couple of days? Probably I'm going to forget. If I have interaction with another person, I'm going to also visualize. I'm going to remember our conversation, maybe their look, their voice, even smell. Smell is one of the senses that we are not talking enough, I would say, as people. But nonetheless, it can be any other thing. And also recently I've heard, and I really like this, there is a bookshelf over there. You can all imagine it. And that year that I was talking about, it is somewhere there. And instead of looking for that book, I can indeed ask ChatGPT. I will get the answer, but I will miss out all the information, not only from that book, not only from that page, but from the whole bookshelf. So this is why it is also important how we are giving information, how we are teaching our children, and to be able to change that from time to time. When I give tips to some of the teachers that we have...
Hi, Alex, sorry to interrupt because you don't have a presentation. I don't know if you forgot to share it again after the breakout rooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to let you know. Sorry for interrupting.
No, sure. My bad. Okay. Can you confirm if it's visible now?
Yes.
Anybody? Okay, very good. So I will just show you what you missed out. Basically nothing much. It was just this: UDL in preschool, or practical implementation. And this is the next page. This is where we are at the moment. So what I was talking about, the level of information that you can receive. So yeah, there is this bookshelf. You might be able to come out with the same information, but you're gonna miss out much more that is written on that bookshelf. And if I need to suffer in order to get information, suffer, I'm using it, of course, metaphorically, but our brain likes, because brain is a organ of survival. So it's one of the only reasons why it exists is to make us be alive. And if we learn a new information, it releases dopamine, which is a hormone of happiness, because socially, to participate in a society, it's also part of survival, which leads towards being accepted, which leads towards having more job opportunities, and etc. and etc. So for us, of course, it is very important to struggle in order to get that information, because that simply means more chances of remembering that same information long term. Also, we are evolving, and this is very important for the preschools, especially. Of course, you cannot control your kids outside of the classroom, and you don't know what they're going to do with the parents. And unfortunately, often nowadays, they're spending too much time with the small screens, which are especially dangerous. Here and there, it would be okay also to watch some educational movies, cartoons, and etc. and etc. But small screens for the reasons of evolution, as a matter of the fact, they're very important, and it can lead towards some other things. I'm not going to talk about it, as I'm not an expert in these fields, but it was also proven that it can lead towards some undesirable effects if they're having too much screen time. First of all, why? Because they're not moving, and moving is very important, and moving should be a huge part of any preschool and kindergarten. I would also argue even high schools, and especially also as well elementary schools. We are evolving, and we were evolving for hundreds of years, millenniums, in the same way. And our brain, as other organisms and us physically, we are getting developed by those movements. It can be a small movement, just as watching, just an eye movement. It can also be spinning, falling, even getting mild injuries, and etc. outside. Children are having less and less that, because they're having more and more this. And I'm not speaking against it. I think it's important to have it in our society. It's just important when and how you're going to use it as a tool. So as I said, it's a part of development, even mental development, even physical development, and brain development. So it's important to, while doing all of these activities, to always try to come back and try to do something physical. Doesn't matter if it's going to be just pulling around, spinning. It's important also to make it playable, because the best way how a child, or as a matter of the fact, anyone can learn, how? If they're motivated, and if they are playing. If we are playing and if we are motivated, that is the best possible way to learn. And about this level of information that I was talking about, this is the best information that you can ever receive. I equally believe in basic education, and I believe that it's important to know basics about everything, even though we have different talents, but there are different ways of how you can present that. And we are going to come back to this a little bit, as the story is going to lead us towards that, but I will for now move on with UDL. In the context of early childhood, this means thinking ahead. How can we offer materials that appeal to different senses and learning styles? How can we build routines that support both structure and choice? How can we present activities in ways that allow children to show what they know, even if they communicate or move differently than the others? And these are some of the questions that we're going to try to answer in the next couple of slides. UDL is educational approach that shifts the focus from fixing children who struggle to designing learning environments that work for everyone from the start. It's, again, I will come back to what I said before. It's a procedure. It's a process. Do not expect that tomorrow we are going to start with this practice, everything is going to work fine. No, you will have to adapt. You're going to have to make it personal and personalized for your kids and for your school. And especially in the beginning, yes, you are going to have some trouble. And as the experience is getting involved, it will become easier and easier. I will also come back to the beginning of my presentation, why Italy is an example in the whole world, because they started in 70s. Among other reasons, they started earlier, so they had time to also see what were the flaws, maybe where it was more difficult, where it was more tough, where they need to focus more, and they already have a lot of experience in it, and that's why all over the world they're using it, and educational books and textbooks as a good example of working inclusion. Of course, everything has its flaws, and you're not trying to be perfect, but you're aiming towards perfection. That is another thing. So that is where your goal is set. What can we do from the beginning to reduce barriers and increase participation? At its core, UDL, it's about flexibility. So you being able to adapt to what comes next, or what group of people or children do you have. And in order to be able to be flexible, you have to be able to realize when something is going south, or if you have children with special needs. They don't always have, how can I put it, certificate, or it's not always known. But that's why it is very important to educate staff and educate teachers that they're able to recognize that. And that's why we just need to put more focus on it and to show the importance on it. That is why I spend even a little bit more time talking about why this is important and what should keep us up doing this and what is our motivation for all of this. So it's about flexibility and how we present that information. Many different ways, remember, how children engage with learning and how they show what they know. So how they're able to also represent. Fruit of our work is always very important, and it's the top of that pyramid of learning that we're talking about. If you're able to show it to the others and to make something new out of it and to bring something to the whole process, or maybe the outcome, fruit, learning, whatever, that is the final step. But it's not the only step. It's also about about that trip that you made until making it until the top of the pyramid. For example, some children may focus better when they can choose between sitting at the table or at the rug or using a cushion or something like that. Others may need visual or hands-on materials to understand the new idea. And of course, your job as facilitator, teacher, assistant, whatever your role is, also to be able to see that, and with empathy, with care, and with love, which is very important. And often people are afraid of using that word. And I often feel like people think that if they use it more, that they are going to have it last. No, if you spread it around, you're going to have it more and more. It's actually the opposite. So it's important also to show truly that you care for that children, because you, as I already said before, you don't know maybe their situation at home, what they're going through, both mentally, maybe through some period of time that they're going through, and sometimes you're not even able to know about that. But often they're looking to be a part of something. Always, we are social beings, and if we cannot find that something at our families, we're gonna try at schools. If we cannot find it at school, unfortunately, there will be somebody or something that will offer that that sense of belonging to children. And that's why we have, unfortunately, many examples when streets, I would just metaphorically put it like that, streets are offering what families or school couldn't, and then everything is going in the completely other direction. So to show them that you truly care, and that for you as a person, whoever you are, whoever you're listening to, that for you it is important, not only because if they're going to go to a better school, if they're going to have a better grade, what their parents is going to tell to you. So not because it's your job, not because you need to be there, but because you actually care. And I really hope that you're doing your job because you actually care for all of those things that we are talking about. That is a very important thing about everything. I was talking about passion and motivation for everything, and you only can have that motivation if you honestly and genuinely care for the outcome and for your work. And if you are able to show them that you're genuinely care for their well-being, their future and everything, they will trust you more, and there is absolutely no way that they won't be able to feel at least better in that institution, and they will at least have somebody with whom they know that they can have serious conversation, that with whom they can trust, with whom they can rely on. If we're talking about children, maybe we're not talking about, I don't know, some bigger level, but even small things are important. And that's what I also wanted to show you with the video and with all the examples in the beginning. Some may prefer to express themselves through drawing, building, rather than talking in front of the group. And it's especially important to allow them that possibility. Those are not something which are difficult to allow, no matter of the circumstances, no matter of the environment or financials at your school. This is something which is possible anywhere. So to allow them to express themselves and to present their thoughts, it's equally important for all of us to be heard, to be able to express ourselves. So I was also working with some people that are mute, they're not able to talk, but they're equally looking for the opportunity to express themselves, to send a message, to show you what they feel or what they're thinking, what they want, and etc. and etc. And okay, this is maybe a little bit personal, and I don't have all the knowledge about this, but I wanted to learn sign language because also I'm working with those people. I think it'll be really cool. I was looking for some sort of challenge like that, but I was very disappointed. I'm not saying that I know the answer for it, but I was very disappointed in the beginning because as far as I know, I don't see any reason why we don't have a universal international language for universal sign language. It exists, but nobody's using it. And as a matter of fact, there are equal amount of languages as sign languages. And for example, here in Spain, there is sign Catalan, there is sign Spanish, there is sign Basque, and etc. etc. And I feel like these people, they already do not have that much possibility of sharing what they want to share. Wouldn't it be just better or easier if they would have a united front with all of them all around the world with whom they will be able to communicate? And okay, this is just maybe something outside of the topic, but if somebody knows the answer, you can also reach out to me. I would like to know the better answer for it. I encountered a couple of explanations, but I wasn't very satisfied with it completely. Okay, and the goal of UDL is simple and powerful. It is to create a classroom where every child has a fair chance to participate, connect, and grow, not by changing who they are, but by adapting how we teach or how we are going to allow them to achieve that. So it's about equity. First of all, having fair and equal chances of being successful. Not everybody are going, and that is completely fine, no pressure. Not everybody are going to be equally good at something or successful at something, but they will have, and this is something that we should try to achieve. Unfortunately, we're still not there. We're, as a matter of fact, I would say far from it. To achieve that fair chances or possibilities for everyone to do the same things according to their needs, according to their passions, according to their what they want and what they're talented to. The core pillars of UDL. At the heart of UDL, there are 3 guiding principles that help us design learning experiences that support every child right from the start. These pillars invite us to offer choice, flexibility, and meaningful access to all the aspects of learning, from motivation to expression. Those 3 pillars are multiple means of engagement. So where the question that we're going to try to answer in the following slides is, how do we motivate children to learn? Motivation is something which is extremely important, and especially in the beginning, if every teacher would be able just to, I always put it like that, open that door which is behind them and which can show us the whole world of whatever subject or whatever they're trying to teach us, it will be more than enough. And the children will have a quality of looking for a motivation. Then that's why outdoor education, for example, is very important, because outside you might encounter something that you won't inside, and it will shift your focus, shift your motivation. And especially in the beginning, motivation is something which is truly important. Motivation is the key. Everybody who was ever going, I don't know, to the gym, doing any training sports, learning the language, or whatever with demands also repetitiveness, knows how motivation is important. But at some point you're going to lose it, it will fade, and that is where the discipline has to kick in. But still, you know, the beauty of why you start, it is something that will push you forward, and you will be goal oriented towards why you started and towards that motivation that you had at the beginning, and it will become your routine. Doesn't matter if it's daily, weekly, monthly, or whatsoever. Multiple means of representation. So how do we present information? How do we try to teach them what we are trying to teach them? I remember the first time I had that class with the children with special needs, I was preparing myself a lot. I was also nervous because I wanted to do it the best way possible. And I prepared a lot of presentations like this, lots of activities. I, in a way, knew who is going to come, but it's also very important to say that not all the special needs, even if they're called the same, they're not manifesting in the same way. So I wasn't sure what I'm going to have. And at the end of the day, it was impossible to try to teach them or to be successful using any of the tools that I prepared, but I was flexible enough in order to change completely the way, and through some, I don't know, mini games, through interaction with them, through some elements that we had at our classroom, I was able to reach them, and it went very successfully. And I was very satisfied with how the whole mobility went. Multiple means of action and expression. So how can children show what they know? It is very important to be able to express yourself. I already tried to emphasize the importance of it, not only how they will emphasize themselves to the others as an individual. We will also speak about that, but also how they will be able to present their own answer and their own thoughts and their own result of something which they did as a part of the activity, as a part of the lesson of whatsoever. So these principles encourage choice, flexibility, and inclusiveness in planning and teaching. Right after the short break, that it's going to be for like 10-ish minutes, we're going to be back, and we're going to talk about these questions and these three very important aspects of UDL. So I'm going to be here. You can also write in chat if you need something. Otherwise, I don't know, take your coffee, water, whatever you need, and see you right back in around 10 minutes.
Che devo fare con la spedizione?
Aspetta.
Perché me l'hanno consegnato?
Non lo so. Io sono andata a casa a mezz'ora, orario pranzo.
A prendere a casa.
No, orario pranzo. Verso le 2, sono venuta qua, sono andata dopo. Non lo so. Fammi vedere i punti di ritiro. Perché qua non sta andando un cazzo di niente.
All'1:12 in consegna.
All'1:12, no, all'1:12 ero qua io.
Alle 3 mi è arrivata l'altra messaggio. O si personalizza la consegna o condivido. Dove, dove faccio dove lavo la macchina? No, personalizziamo la consegna, diciamo, 15. Questo è il non arrivare qua.
right, everyone. I hope that you're rested. It's time to come back. We're about to, let's say, halfway there, or maybe a little bit before, a little bit more. And it's time to move on quickly. Of course, I would like to use an opportunity to remind you that, of course, if you have any questions or if you would like, if interrupt the question more than available by the end of this, we'll have some Q&A time where we can also some of these topics that we find very important for implementation of inclusion and everything that we're talking about. Okay, so moving on with the questions that recently we spoke about regarding UDL. We're starting with the first principle, which is engaging. Children are indeed, and no matter if we're talking about children with special needs or other children, they're different, they're motivated in a different ways. I already spoke to you about my colleague's perspective and my perspective when it comes to competition. I like using it. I was using it a lot when I was working in a school, and I saw the fruits of it. That doesn't mean that I was using it all the time. I was trying to change it as much as possible. And I was definitely reaching out, especially to those children that are maybe not as active as the others. They're not as motivated as the others. But I feel it's important to especially try to reach them. And I remember that door and what is behind us when it comes to every subject. I feel like I'm trying to achieve it, and if it's with it. Why? Because, for example, now I'm very passionate about geography. During the COVID time, I was trying to learn every capital in the world for myself. Now I'm, for example, paying to learn some languages. I'm studying currently. Of course, I'm still getting better in Spanish and Italian. I'm studying Hebrew, and I'm paying to learn those languages. While when I was in a high school and when I was in elementary school, I was able to participate on those classes on a weekly basis, a couple of hours a week, but I didn't want it to be there, you know? I wanted to do something else, which, of course, it has also something to do with the part of the life and my current brain. But if I had this brain back then, I would use this circumstance much better. It's how old you are, or if you want to follow that deeper. It's also about finding that motivation that is within you for something. You just need to find it. And that is the real job of every teacher. Some children are energized by group activities, while others prefer quiet, independent play. Some thrive on novelty and challenge, while others need a familiar routine to feel safe and ready to explore. Also, when it comes to studying, I had dozens of friends with dozen different routines when it comes to studying. And while something was working good for one friend of mine, if I would try to apply that tactics or strategy to myself, it wasn't always successful. It wasn't always working. So again, I will repeat, even though I said it, but it's very important. These are the tips. It's not a magic trick. It's not a magic wand. It's not a magic solution. You will still have to play with it a little bit, put it in practice, see how does it work, maybe change it a little bit, and then you will find the right recipe. UDL encourages us to create a variety of ways for children to become interested, involved, and emotionally connected to learning through options in activities, roles, sensory experiences, and social connections. So it's also very good to provide them an opportunity to sometimes do something individually, to do it in a small groups, to present it in a bigger groups, to have role plays, so different types of things. We are going to talk about specific tips also later, but this is the whole point, to provide them with different aspects and to change. Not only if you find, for example, that it's working very well for the majority of group, let's say this quizzes or competition that I was talking about, still change it. After a while, change it. Maybe there is just one individual that still is looking to find themselves. And especially we're talking at the end of the day about kindergarten, we're talking about preschools. So especially that is the time where we have to use their creativity, that they're still looking for themselves and that they're placing their world, they're still discovering everything around them. And not only they really want to have that. And one of the things that I don't really like about nowadays is that everything becomes, cringe. They call it, it's called cringe. And while in a way, for some things I do understand it, I think this allows us to use many of the good things and to find ourselves in something where we belong. So do not be afraid of putting it out there, and especially try to achieve to not make any of the children within your classroom afraid of trying it out, doing it and putting it into an action. That is something which is very important, that they feel free, that they feel encouraged by the adults, and they will be empowered also by their peers. Conflicts will happen. Some situations will happen. That is completely different topic and a very important one, how we can solve it. I told you about the quote, education without values is just making more clever devils. So it's not only important what we're doing, but why we're doing it and how we're doing it and what we allow on the way. Some strategies can include offering choices of activities or materials. So we can do it this way. This is something also what I often do, because I want participants to feel that they belong in my classroom. So I often ask them, hey, are you guys more up to this activity or that activity? Are you up for this topic now or for that topic now? What is more important for you? Why are you here? So I'm trying to get the feedback also from them so I can know how to move on with the lessons. Feedback is something which is very important, and especially with children, they're not always directly going to give it to you. Sometimes they're being very honest, so you will get a very direct feedback, but sometimes they cannot articulate their feedback, so you will have to see it in their behavior, if they're in their mood, in their ways of conducting certain activities, and etc. etc. Creating predictable routines that reduce anxiety. There are multiple ways of how we can fight anxiety and how we can add on having an environment where you want to be and where you want to work, when you're able to study and to fulfill all the things that we're talking about. And this is also a very big topic itself. Unfortunately, we don't have time for everything, but we're definitely covering certain tips that will help you in this. Acknowledging emotions and promoting self-regulation and finding your own way, I will add. Acknowledging emotions, it's something which is very, very important. First of all, to be able to realize about yourself through what you're maybe going on at the moment, to realize your own emotions, and not to, especially if you're a teacher, especially, I don't know, if you're a parent and a facilitator, educator, not to allow your emotions to dictate your actions, and to not act towards someone in a different way or undeserved way just because you're currently going through something. You're a human being. You're not always going to be able to do that. But it's very important to realize, hey, I'm now not thinking rationally because of this happened, because of that happened. That is the first step in rationalizing your actions, in being able to come to your children also with that kindness, with love, with support and everything which is important for the proper environment. So first of all, you need to realize your own emotions. Then you also need to acknowledge through maybe which situations or emotions your students, your children are going through, and to guide them in the right direction, especially for them. Try to imagine you're maybe maybe if you're an adult, you're dealing with those emotions for a while, so you're also more experienced. For some of them, those emotions can be very new, and they don't always know how to fight with them, what is it? Sometimes they're afraid, and that's why it is very important to have a trusted adult around that can, first of all, maybe rationalize it to them, but it's not always necessary to rationalize them, because the action out of that emotion is not coming from an intellectual part of our mind. It's coming from, it's a whole different science. I also don't have time for it, but it's very important to guide them into the right direction and to discipline them in the correct way and the right way. And to also know when is the time to do something and to tell them something and to show them something. So it's also about timing. I know it's complicated, but those are all important factors of achieving what we're trying to. One of the examples can be let children choose between blocks, puzzles, or drawing during a free play. So they can choose in which way they want to cover the following activity that you have planned for them. Allow them some choice. They feel like they're in power a little bit more. Second principle, representation. Not all children understand information in the same way. I was also talking about that for a while. Remember the whole story about ChatGPT, bookshelves, and etc., etc. So it's also very related to this. Not all children understand information the same way. A story might come alive for one child through puppets. We talked about those, helping them, or maybe also passing the ball from one to another, or passing anything, because holding something, especially for children with special needs, it helped them to feel secure a little bit more and to have more self-esteem in order to go on with the activity, with representation, with answering, with presenting, or whatsoever. A story might come alive for one child through puppets, while for another it might connect better through pictures, music, or hand-on materials. UDL helps us to present content in multiple formats: visual, auditory, and tactile, so all children can access and make meaning from what we are sharing. Some examples of multiple form inputs are visual, so like photos, icons, gestures, movements, and etc. Spoken language, so the words. Songs on rhythm, so you can express what you're trying to do, or you can teach them also something. A language can be learned through songs, and not also some information and many other things. The kids especially, they remember them very well. I'm observing one, it's a toddler basically, of some of my friends, and that girl, she's learning a lot through some of the videos or songs that are always playing in the background while she's doing another thing. So she's not sitting in front of the phone looking all the time. And that's why those videos on YouTube that have so many views, because, and I'm glad that they're using it in the right way. So they're playing it in the background, and children do something else, but it stays there, it stays in the ear. So this is also a way how you can teach children, and especially young people, children, they're very itchy with those rhythms, with those interesting words, and etc., etc. And you can really reach out to them through those. So be creative with those. Try to put them into action a couple of times, maybe in a different order, and find out your own recipe. Some of the example can be when introducing a story. You can show pictures, tell the story out loud, or act in parts. What you can do, you can use them in order to have that story as a whole, and then you can divide it in parts and talk about the main purpose of the story, what we learned. So do some sort of like recap of the whole part together with them. So there are multiple ways to do this as well. The third and very important principle is action and expression. So children need different ways to express their learning and to express themselves as well. This is also a part of many discussions and debates comes a bit later on, but also in some kindergartens. I saw it, for example, here in Spain. Children have their own uniforms. Of course, if they're very young, like, I don't know, 1, 2, anyways, parents are choosing what they're going to wear. But in the later ages, and I talked to many teachers and I had a lot of also discussions about it. I'm not sure where exactly am I standing regarding this, but an argument for uniforms is that, and it's a very good one, is that they're not able to show who is maybe who have more funds, who have richer parents, who is able to have this phone, this, I don't know, necklace, watch. Of course, in kindergarten it won't happen, but it will wait for them in the later stages. In the kindergarten, they're maybe not, in preschool, they're not representing themselves through that much, through clothes, but maybe through some cartoons that they're watching, if they're accessible to go to, I don't know, some amusement parks, to, I don't know, some argument for uniforms not to be worn at school is that through their clothing, the children are also expressing themselves, which is also true. And it's important, despite of if you're pro or against uniforms at school. I think it's a good idea if you're able to have uniforms. This is where I'm standing at the moment. I'm, of course, open for all the arguments. And as I was changing my opinions multiple times in my life about much more important topics, I'm eager to change it also about this one. But no matter what is your standing about this, it's very important to allow children a space and time where they can represent themselves. And it can be also through the song, it can be through the stories, through the sports that they're playing, through their families, through their pets. So you can have a special day for all those sorts of things when they can present what they have and what is a part of their identity. Why I was telling the story about clothes, even though it's not a part of kindergarten and preschool, because it's a good representation of what is the fact that I was trying to achieve. They still need that part which is theirs, which is, this is me, this is who I am, this is my family, this is my sport, this is my whatever team color, and allow them time, maybe through the song, if they can do it, if they cannot do it in any other way, they will be proud to have a possibility to show to their peers what they're up to and what is their motivation. I can come back to previous slides and also again talk about motivation and what is pushing them forward, and it will help them a lot also in the future. Some might talk or draw, others might act it out loud. Some are introverts, some are extroverts. So there is no like unique recipe for anything. Build a model, use a science or gestures. Like I can give you a list of tips, and it's important to put all of them in the action. But there is not like a unique recipe for achieving such a thing. UDL promotes multiple pathways for children to respond, create, and communicate. Recognizing that expression, it is diverse as the children themselves. And diversity is undeniable word if we're talking about inclusiveness. And if what we're trying to achieve here, it has to be through this. It has to be through allowing, because there is a lot of beauty in having a diverse environment. I told you about, let's say, I don't know, Italian style, and it's important if you can hear it if you're, I don't know, from China, but there are lots of things from China that we can implement here, and that's why this is what I'm telling, and this is first of all the part of the reason why I took this job in the first place, because I remembered how it was having a possibility every week to change the group of people with which you're working, which has a different background, different experiences, and it helps me also in a way every week to grow in a different way. And I am who I am because of all those people, because of all those experiences. And also, luckily, we are not working in the same way all around the world. So it's important to grab that possibility. If you have it, even better, try to use it, try to take all the benefits out of it and to reduce all the potential risks that it can bring and that we already discussed about a little bit. Options might include drawing, building, dancing, or storytelling. We already talked about those. Using gestures, pictures, or verbal language. And finally, participating from a calm space, not always in the group. We talked about how is it important to provide them with the different ways of expressing themselves and not maybe the same for the whole group. So if today we're doing it like this, and if not of all of us feel like it, then we can maybe change it. While Maria can do it this way, George can do it another way, and vice versa, and vice versa. How to apply UDL. Story time example. So we are going to do a short activity regarding a story. So UDL adaptations, the goal is to let children choose the book, which is engagement. Remember this bookshelf that we talked about. Remember it is, imagine that it is there, and that you can, in this case, or the children can choose what is the topic about the whole maybe class is going to talk about now. So they're in charge. Use visual aids, objects, and gestures, representation. So how they will be able to do it, how you will maybe explain to them what is the goal of the current activity. Allow children to respond by drawing, acting out, or using puppets. So it's not, I don't know how difficult to engage with those things that you probably have even at home. So it's not something that is truly expensive and for which you need ridiculous amount of funds. It's just about having them and being them in your class. I'm sure that if this is your goal, wherever it is your kindergarten or preschool, you're able to obtain them. This way, all children participate in their own way and none is left out. So nobody is left out. Many of behavioral challenges we'll see in preschool don't come out of nowhere. They often stem from frustration, confusion, sensory overload, or unmet communicational needs. Frustration, it affects our behavior. So our emotions, we talked about, it's also a separate topic. I can talk a lot about how important is to, first of all, realize that emotions and to know how to act based on which emotion are we talking about. But what is undeniable that it is if you cannot hide it. If we're talking about children with special out of it, it's not always a result of I don't know, them being them trying to go contrary to what anyhow if they're in an environment which is, I don't know, too loud, which is something which I also experienced. It was in one high school in Bologna where I worked. And I told you about all the good experiences I had with children with special needs and inclusion, but this is a more negative one, and why we need also professionals. There was this girl in the school. She was not participating in regular classes. She had a class of her own, individual one, because she wasn't aware even where she was. So for her, it was exactly the same as she was at school or somewhere else. And she was extremely sensitive. She was blind, but she was extremely sensitive to noises, touches, and etc. and etc. So she had her own teachers that were working together with her. Once it happened, it was no one's fault because they were going somewhere class that was losing a subject, or the teacher left them early or something like that. They left their classroom and they're being children, they're being loud, nothing extraordinary. They didn't even know that she was there. And because of all the noises and everything that she felt, she had a panic attack, and it was a very ugly for everyone to see that in that moment. So that's why it's also important how we do it. But I believe, I'm not saying this because I'm definitely not an expert in this case, to realize if maybe it's not a place for her to be within the school, as she is not even aware that she's in the school, or if she can bring benefits to the other students as well, which I believe definitely that she can in this way or another, or there should be a specialized places for people like that. So that's why it's important, first of all, to have educated staff and to be well prepared in order to have all of that. And why I said this, because environment is also very important in when you're realizing if your children are dealing with such a things as too much light, too much noise, too much touches. It can be a lot of things, and it's also cultural. I saw that by living in multiple countries around Europe, how it is very different, for example, here in Spain than in the north of the continent when it comes to personal space and touches. So it's beauty to have that diverse. It's beautiful to talk about it. It's blessing to have opportunity to meet all those things. But sometimes boundaries are also something which are important, and that is where you as an adult has to kick in and first of all be aware of the boundaries of the children, and then know how to apply them. And unmet communicational needs, like in general in our life, like 80% of all the conflict is coming because we don't have enough of communication. And I'm dealing also a lot during our training courses about conflict management, and this is also a topic for itself. There are many activities through which you can actually prove this point and to show how much communication when it comes to conflict is important. And if you're able to have a proper communication, most likely you are going to be able to dodge or avoid or solve, which is the best, conflict. And also when it comes to conflict, there is also one quote. It is by C.S. Lewis, who once said that, and I really like this one, if you would know all the darkest secret of your enemy, and hopefully we're talking about preschool, we're not talking about enemies, we're talking about school still, hopefully we're not talking about enemies. If you would know all the darkest secret of your enemies, all the walls between you, which is a conflict, will instantly collapse. And he even said how you will burst into tears and understanding, because you would know where that behavior that you didn't like, where all those bad words, bad actions, and maybe even evil things that you thought before are coming from. Everything has its root, everything has its core, and by communication, you're able to realize where that is and to find the core of the whole misunderstanding, and eventually and hopefully to solve it. And conflicts are not always bad. It can turn out for a greater good, and you can achieve a lot of benefits through communication. Again, important topic, not our topic at the moment. Well, when children feel overwhelmed or misunderstood, their behavior become their voice. Sometimes they're not able to, especially if we're talking about children with special needs, they can't express themselves, and they're eager to, equally as you are able to, equally as I'm able to, maybe through this presentation, maybe through something else. I need to also express myself through something. Sometimes they cannot articulate that, and it comes out through that emotion. So behavior is not always a result of wickedness or about evil deeds or about anything else. It always has a background story. It always have why. If I would have your circumstances, if I would have your history, your background, your brain, I would be you. So it's just a matter of where you are at the moment, what you went through, and what are your initial things with which you're working on. So it's very humbling when you think about it that way. UDL helps us shift from reacting to behavior to understanding and prevent it. By desiring our environments, routines, and interactions with flexibility in mind, we can reduce stress and increase participation for all children, especially those who struggle with regulation, transitions, or communication. All very important things when it comes to UDL. Here's how UDL supports positive behavior. So let's try to recap a little bit. Anticipating needs and reducing stress. When we provide visual schedules, calm spaces, and predictable routines, children feel safer and more in control. This is why this part is very important, which lowers anxiety, reduces reactive behavior to whatever the reason is. Giving choices to increase autonomy. Offers small choices, where to sit, what color to use, or which activity to start with. Helps children to feel empowered rather than controlled, which lower resistance and power struggles. They're all little rebellions. They want to express themselves and they're doing it through all those sorts of things. And if you are successful enough in making your environment where they don't feel as they're forced to do something, if they're not controlled to do something, if you are good enough to trick them into loving what you're trying to do with them, this is when the result will come at. Making expectations clear and visual. This was also something which I was struggling a lot when I was in school. I wasn't always aware what is the goal. If it was about, I don't know, exams, if it was about tests, if it was about the lesson itself, I wasn't always goal oriented because it was misty. I wasn't able to see the goal. So my own experience, I'm now trying also to tell the teachers from also my experience how important it is to be clear about goals. Sometimes even visual, especially if we're talking about this. Instead of relying on verbal directions alone, we can post pictures of classroom rules, show visual cues for turn taking, or use gestures alongside instructions to support understanding. Offering different ways to regulate and respond. Some children may need movement breaks. Others might use quiet fidgets, breathing visuals, or calm down corner. So those are all the tips that you can use in order to achieve that. UDL encourages us to build these supports into our classrooms, into our environment, because the children should not have this earn regulation tools. They're just part of the space. They're feeling that they're belonging to their space. They can also connect to the space. They can be proud, and when their parent can come to the classroom, they will be proud to show them this is where I play. This is what I do. They're also connecting with the space a lot. So it's important how we decorate it. Let's say the Christmas is coming. You don't have to have, I don't know, some crazy things. You don't have to have lights everywhere around, but do it together. Do it together with them. Make them feel a part of it. Do not have, I don't know, kindergarten workers of decorating your room. Do it together with your students in a different ways, and where everybody can have their own corner through which they can express themselves, and then their feelings and represent also their culture and their visuals over it. What is the result? Fewer outbursts and shutdowns, and more connection, communication, and being in general terms more calm. UDL in action. So it's time for our activity. Try it out to redesign a preschool activity using these things that we just talked about. So in pairs or in small groups, choose a simple activity. For example, painting, snack time, cleaning up. So something that you're conducting within the classroom or outside of the classroom if it's outdoor education. And plan 3 variations using the UDL principles. So engagement, representation, and expression. So try to modify them somehow. To think about, hey, now that I maybe hopefully learned some tips or learn some new things about this thing, how can I make this a little bit more according to UDL? How can I make it more engaging? How can I make it how can I represent it better to my children? And finally, how can they express themselves better through this activity? So we're gonna do it. I'm again going to create a smaller, this time a little bit smaller breakout rooms, and you can swap also ideas with the partner. So the idea is to first think about it individually, reflect in pairs or maybe even in small groups. We'll see how many we are. Pick one routine, lining up bathroom time, transitions, and discuss. And then we're going to talk about these questions when we come back. If you have some questions, you can always invite me to the breakout rooms. I'll be glad to join you. Just a sec.
Yes,
Okay, we're ready to move on. I saw that a couple of you, I was invited to a few rooms as it is because we were supposed to do it in pairs, but some of the people left in the meantime, so that is the reason why a few of you were alone in breakout rooms. Sorry for that, but at least I hope that you were able to individually reflect and go through all of those things. Then, of course, later on, it is possible to share it with some of your colleagues, or if you're in a room with someone, definitely there are these possibilities. Okay, we can move on. Our next topic is differentiating for behavioral needs. Differentiating for behavioral needs. I cut my tongue. What is the instructions of differentiating instructions in teaching?
Alex, sorry, the slides again to share.
Every time after the breakout rooms. Wait a sec. Is it there? Can you guys see it? Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, that adapts what we teach, how we teach it, and how children can show what they learned. So, in other terms, how they can represent their progress so far, in all the response to their individual needs, strengths, and readiness. It is not about lowering expectations, and this is also something which is very important to talk about. Maybe to some of you it sounded, as I was talking, okay, if they feel like this, allow them. If they feel like that, allow them. Of course, we're talking about kindergarten. This is the place where they should still look out for themselves, where they want to be, and especially also later on as they're growing up, they also should be in a similar position. But that is the opposite of lowering expectations. I also told you before that I am somebody who really believes in basic education. So we talked about different talents and talked about different dreams, different ways how we are meant to be. But that doesn't have to mean that, for example, if my talent is geography, then I shouldn't learn anything about history or about languages or something like that. Just because I am going to do a certain thing. It comes the same also with the sports. I was working actually in a sports school. And while they were trying to support the children to chase their dreams and to follow what they wanted to do and where they had that talent, motivation, and everything that we talked about, in the same time, they also, in a way, try to provide them with alternative, because you're never sure if you're going to always proceed with that same motivation and if you're going to find the outcome of it, first of all. But second of all, education, not only because of those alternatives, it's important because of education. We talked about how important it is also for our brain. It's important for self-esteem, for confidence, for everything, to be able to know more about different topics. And while you don't have to be an expert in all of the topics, that doesn't have to mean that you shouldn't go through basic things in everything which is mandatory. And that's why it's also important to have textbook writers and people who are in charge of schools to be also properly educated about that, and also to have experience. Because what is also often happening is that people that are in charge of organizing schools are politicians. But when I'm saying politicians, I don't mean something negative. I mean that they don't have experience with what it is about in the shoes of that teacher, what it is about to be in the shoes of that educator. So it's not always about theory. It is about also experiencing that and knowing what are the possible flaws, but also knowing what are the benefits of it. So that is why it is important to have real experts and people with background in education and experience in these sorts of things that are in decision-making positions. It is not about, as I said, lowering expectations. It is about recognizing that children reach the same goal in a different way and offering multiple paths to go there. So this is the goal, but it's not always about going straight to the goal. It's also about analogy with the bookshelf and looking for an information. One of the paths, it indeed, is to ask artificial intelligence or to Google it, whatever you want to do, and you will find the goal. But you will not maybe go around and on the way reach many other things and find many other things that you maybe weren't even looking for, but they're very important for you at the right place and at the right time. So it's often about the path, not always about the goal. Goal is there to keep you motivated. The goal is there to keep you, to push you forward, but it's all about the process. Trust the process. And offering multiple paths to go there. This is especially powerful when supporting children with behavioral challenges like impulsivity, avoidance, or emotional outbursts. So their reaction, how they're going to react, can vary out of many different reasons. We talked about emotions, but emotions are just part of it. It's maybe something bigger that they're going through, maybe something bigger which is happening in their family, maybe some mental challenges that they're going through. And you're often not able to recognize all of those, and especially to know all of those. So be kind. Generally speaking, be kind. That is a good advice. But in education, be aware of those possibilities, and that is why we allow those different paths. And it's okay sometimes to wonder, to look out for yourself, and to still search for what is your son, what is your goal, what is something that you're looking for. A child might need a shorter task movement built into learning, or a quieter way to participate, not because they can't meet their goal, but because they need a different way to get there. So it is also important it's kindergarten. There is no pressure to achieve anything. It is about looking for it, and it's about that path as well. So you you don't need to think about it that much to aware what is the only rational solution to that. Differentiation creates a space for every child to succeed without needing to fit the mold or to fit it into society, to integrate, as we say. But it's already made just as it should be for them, specifically for them, individually for that particular child. So you can always say, yeah, our preschool, our kindergarten, our school is designed specifically for your child, no matter what are the circumstances. And of course, it can be better or it can be worse, but this is something that we want to emphasize when we are dealing with inclusion. This is our goal, something that we're trying to achieve. This is our goal, yeah. Understanding common behavior. So of course, in order to do all of this, it's important to have knowledge. It's important to know it by yourself, how to recognize it, how to act on it, and etc. etc. Challenging behaviors often reflect unmet needs or misbehavior. They may stem from frustration, sensitiveness, traumas, communication delays, or neurodivergence, or some things like ADHD, autism, and etc. etc. Some mild things that can also affect behavior of the students based on the current circumstances that they're going through. And especially with children, they're not always visible. So you also be patient with diagnosing something. Well, of course, this is why it's important to have somebody who is an expert, but even experts, and especially at young ages, they cannot distinguish if it's just a phase, if it's just a result of certain circumstances or trauma, or is it maybe some special need or anything like that. Examples may include impulsivity, interrupting, grabbing, acting without thinking, and acting out loud, being in the center of the attention, etc., etc. Non-compliance, refusing directions, resisting, so being a little rebels that we discussed about. And this might be also a phase, but it can also a message that they're trying to send you. So adults with special needs, they're also sending a message in a different ways, because they cannot always communicate in a regular way how we communicate between each other, but they're sending a message almost always. And it is the same with children. If they're not able to why babies cry, because they cannot always tell you what's the problem. They feel something. It's either they're hungry, they're sleepy, they're nervous, they're moody, whatever it is. They reflect that feeling, reflect that trauma, reflect that thing that which is bothering them or that they like through their behavior. And it's not only with babies. Withdrawal, avoiding participation, not wanting to go to school or kindergarten, isolating from peers. Sometimes it doesn't have any sense why. For example, if I remember myself, I didn't like going to kindergarten. I didn't want to go to the preschool, even though I cannot tell you a single thing that I didn't like over there, maybe except they were forcing me a couple of times to eat spinach, which is nowadays the only thing that I don't eat. But except that, really, it wasn't uncomfortable. I wasn't bullied or anything like that. I just didn't want it to go there. I guess it came out of the thing that I wanted to spend time with my parents, but as I was younger, I don't remember what exactly was the reason. So do not always overthink about this. Do not overthink about anything, but especially about this. It's not always a result of some bigger thing. So be also very patient with diagnosis and all the other things and leave it to the experts. That is very important. And this is more for the parents, but acceptance is something which is very important. If you're in denial of certain things going on, it can just lead to extending those things and becoming more difficult to handle later on. And finally, aggression, which is a mixture of all of these things. So hitting, pushing, or throwing objects. These behaviors are signals. They're not the problems themselves. They can be a problem in a particular situation, but not always a thing to punish or just trying to get rid of the signal without understanding the message. No, first try to understand the message, then deal with the signal, or do it in the same time, depending on, of course, about what we are talking about. It's not, you're not going to act out the same if we're talking about bullying, if we're talking about aggression or trying to injure their peers, or if we're talking about simply somebody being maybe more shy, maybe not wanting to participate in the activities, or etc., etc. So finally, every child can stay included and engaged even when challenges arise. So with that, I would also like to conclude with this part. So challenges will arise and they will happen. And all those things, they might sound very intimidating in theory. And of course, it is something in which I 100% believe in, and not only believe, I also saw it in lots of cases. So I know what is the reason why I want to fight for it. I know what is the importance of it, but not always is always going to go that smooth. And we also talked about it. It's about path. It's about solving those challenges and about being able to know what is the reason why you're going through everything. Because at the end of the day, it is easier to go on with the previous methods, with the previous style, with the previous strategy and tactics that you were conducting in your school, but it's not always the best thing. So first of all, think about it individually, reflect on it, be open-minded to maybe change your opinion. I'm always trying to keep this critical thinking about my own thoughts, about my own maybe ideas about something, because this is the only way how you can get better constantly, and how we can achieve a place which is safe for all of our children, and where every child feels like they belong and they're a huge part of that school, of that society, of that kindergarten or whatever we're talking about. They're that person which is in the center of everything that we're talking about. Thank you very much. I really do not take it for granted, the opportunity to have a word with you guys. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that I had something interesting to say, and it was really a pleasure of mine to have your attention. Finally, I will stop presenting just for a moment. Because I would like to share with you also our feedback. In the final minutes, also, I would ask you to go through that feedback if you can do it. And through the same QR code, you can also get the certificate for today's course. Just a moment. Okay, in the meantime, before we proceed with this, are there any certain questions or any feedback, something that you would like to share while we are still all together? Is there anything that you would like to rise up at this moment? I'll be patient with this. Also, if you have any questions later on, you can find my contact. You can always ask me for something about the presentation or regardless. This is the QR code. I hope that you can see it on the screen right now. You can scan it, and over there you will be able to receive the certificate upon the complete when you complete the feedback form on the Google. If you allow us, also if you leave your email, it will be sent later on to you. So what I would ask you to do right now, if you're up to scan this QR code or to open the link that my colleague sent to the chat, and you can fill this QR form, this Google form, sorry. Let's have some time for it. Now I'm going through your comments, and I saw many great points, so you can also pay attention to some of the examples that the guys were willing to share in the comment section in the chat.
I want to thank you, Alex, for this very interesting presentation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, if there are no further questions, when will the video for the first presentation be available? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we will make everything available on our website after editing and after going through it ourselves and making it better accessible for all of you guys. So on our website of our project, everything will be there, right? Okay, if there are no further questions, once again, I wanted to thank you for the bottom of my heart for just the possibility to speak in front of you, for your attention, and to spending these couple of hours with me this afternoon. Appreciate all of you guys.
Thank you very much, Alex.
And do not forget, okay, Susie, your words, you can tell them about next module we're going to have.
Yes, I just wanted to remind everyone about the next meeting, which will be on the 2nd of December. This time it's going to be 1 hour before, so pay attention to the timing. It's going to be at 3, always Central European time. Make sure to check the timing in your country because it may be different. And yes, regarding the recordings, as Alex was saying, we are going to publish them on our website at the end of the 5 modules. So you will find them in the project websites. Of course, you will be notified. So don't worry, we will send an email to everyone with the recordings and as well with the certificates. So you will be notified about everything. Thank you again for participating. Thank you, Alex, for the interesting presentation. And of course, we hope to see you soon at the next module.
On the screen, you can also see the further courses that we're going to have. And some of you asked also for the link. Okay, Isa sent it, so you have everything. Thanks a lot, guys. It was a pleasure having you this afternoon. Appreciate you. Have a nice evening already in your time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.